Now, Vivian has walked us through our programming for radio and television. But that's not all. We also have the online platform. And so I'm going to invite our General Manager, Bernard Avle, to tell us about what we will be doing online regarding the 2024 general elections. Mr. Avle.
Thank you very much, Nana Tufo. Good evening, everybody. We are happy to have you join us on ChannelOne Television and on Citi FM to talk briefly about our digital media approach. And I like the last slide for Vivian because the ballot box, when I first understood elections, 1993, it was a wooden ballot box. And now we have a transparent plastic ballot box. Our first voter ID card had no photo. It just had a thumbprint. Now you have very, very digital, or at least very modern voter ID. But that's not the only thing that has changed in terms of the way we vote. So the 2024 election is our 9th election in the Fourth Republic. It will be the 6th election this media house will cover fully. And when we started covering elections in 2004, news broke on radio. Now news breaks online. So the digital product was an afterthought when we started this work some 20 years ago. It's now the main thing. Whilst the way news breaks has changed, the essence of journalism has not changed. Journalism is still, at its core, a discipline of verification. So whether it's 92 or 2024, you have to verify, because our first obligation is to the truth. So whilst we don't strive necessarily to break the news online, our job is to verify. So ChannelOne Television and Citi FM would be following election 2024 using 3 lenses. The first lens is the information lens, because our news must be informative. That means it must be factual and fair. There are 2 existential threats to journalism in our time. The first one is misinformation, which is inadvertent. People may misrepresent the facts by no fault of theirs or by being shoddy. But there's a more serious threat called disinformation, where people deliberately create falsehood to cause fear and panic and to cause confusion. So under the information leg, we have invested in a few things. We generate news cards which summarize long stories into short formats. But to deal with the disinformation part of the news cards, we've been the first media house to embed a QR code in our news card. So if you see a ChannelOne or Citi FM news card, it's not just something to look at, to read. It's something that you can go to the source. By scanning that QR code, you will find out whether that story is actually on our website. So it's a first that we've introduced. And I think you can put your hands together for us for that. That is one of the tools we've introduced to deal with mis and disinformation. So our news product will be informative. Still under the information eye of our coverage, we've invested in fact-checking tools. Citi and ChannelOne operates like a quasi-commercial, quasi-CSO, because the news product is a public service product. So we are not shy at all to say that we've been collaborating with some very important CSOs. CDD approached us through funding from the Danish Embassy to introduce a particular intervention to help us in news verification. Vivian referred to the Citi Verify. So we have a team of fact checkers who have created a portal on our website to fact check information that's put out, videos, some of which may be created. We look at timestamps. We use all the modern tools to create a very rigorous fact checking facility to make sure that the news we put out during election 2024 is informative. But that's not all. One objective of journalism is to make what is significant interesting. It means you don't just tell people facts, you must tell stories. And to do this, we've created what we call the second eye. Our news will be interactive. People are not interested in being told things. They want to be part of the content creation. Citizen journalism has been core to what we do. Since the 2012 election, we've been training citizen journalists to help us cover the elections. We'll do the same, where people will help us generate information in real time. But we are also going to have interactive maps where you can play with the data. So from the map you see, for example, You don't need to go to university to know that these are the strongholds of the two key political parties. You can go as far back as 2004, even to 1992, to check what are the voter trends. We are going to produce heat maps to give you a sense of how voting patterns are changing. We have 276 constituencies possibly, over 38,000 polling stations. We're going to be granular in our interactivity using various tools from voter turnout to electoral area configurations and then to possible exit polls, which we are contemplating to do to make sure that your consumption of our digital news is not just informative, but it's also interactive. But what's the point of interactivity if you don't gain insight? Because at its core, news is moving from data to information to knowledge. But at the top of knowledge is insight, which is the real cream. We have a very intelligent audience who want to know where the polls are headed, who want to understand what this number means. They want to know what this trend portends for the future. So one of the things we're going to promise uniquely is to have an insightful news platform. Vivian referred to some of the people we're having. We have various teams we are working with, guys who are masters in Excel. We have a team of data people who work with us to generate insights, to convert raw data into information, knowledge, and eventually the insight that we need to make our coverage both informative, interactive, and insightful. Don't forget, we have 2 hashtags. Vivian made reference to the first one, Ghana Polls 2024. But our good old election bureau is still there, and the team will show us that quickly as well.